All right, what's up, y'all? It's Wealth Squad Chris. So check this out. Today the market sold off, and a lot of people started to panic. So I'm going to explain to you why you shouldn't panic, whether it's today, tomorrow, the next day, the next month. Doesn't matter. This is why you shouldn't panic, right? So when I was younger and I started reading about the stock market, I learned about the stock market. I once heard Warren Buffett use an analogy of he compared the stocks and real estate, right? And he used Mr. Market as the daily fluctuation of the stock prices, right? So if you use real estate, it makes more sense. So I'm going to use real estate to explain what happens in the stock market and why you shouldn't panic, and then different strategies you can use or different methods of thinking you can use to get you through it. All right. So check this out. In January, you buy a house for $200,000, right? You think it's going to be worth $300,000 in the near future. Your neighbor John, he buys the same exact house next door to you for $200,000. Right? He lives directly next door to you. So Mr. Market comes, he knocks on your door, boom, 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 boom. He's like, yo, what's up? I think your house is worth $190,000. Do you want to sell it? And you're like, nah, I'm good, bro. So think about this. He came and he told you what your house was worth, but you didn't lose $10,000 unless you sell it to him. If you sell him the house, you bought it for $200,000, you sold it for $190,000, you lost $10K. If you don't sell it, the value of your house went down, but who cares? You're living in it, you know what I mean? Like you're living in it, you're chilling, whatever. There's a use for your house, right? So unless you sell it to him, the value goes down, but you didn't lose any money, right? You only lose when you sell, or you only make money when you buy. All right, in March he comes by, boom, boom, boom. Hey, your house is now worth 170. You're like, cool. Then April comes by, he's like, yo, your house is worth 150 right now. Do you want to make a deal? Right? So think about this. Think about the human perspective. You're noticing that you bought something for $200,000 and it keeps going down, keeps going down, keeps going down. So naturally what's going to happen is you're going to want to sell it, because you're like, what if he comes back the next month and he tells me 140 or 110 or 100 or 90? Like, I don't want to lose my money. So then you make a deal with Mr. Market. And when you make that deal with Mr. Market, you have just locked in your loss, right? You just literally lost your money. All right? So in April, it hits 150, right? Let's pretend in this scenario, your neighbor John, he decides to sell his house for 150. He bought at 200, he panicked, and he sold at 150. So he's like, oh man, it's down 50 grand. I could walk away with 150K versus losing it all, because in his mind, he thinks it's gonna go to zero, right? He's fearful, all right? So he sells his house for 150. And you're just waiting it out, right? In another scenario, you could buy his house from him. So you got one house for 200,000, you got another house for 150K. All right, so check this out. In May, Mr. Market comes, he says, hey man, your house is worth 180K, right? So it's going up now. June, he comes and says, yo, it's worth 175. So it went down a little lower. July, he comes, he says, yo, your house is worth 215. Right? So now it's starting to go back up. It's even higher than what you bought it for, right? And then August comes around. Yo, your house is worth 230. September, your house is worth 250. October, your house is worth 270. November, 265. December, 280. In January, your house is now worth $300,000. When you bought your house for $200,000, that was your target price, right? You said, I'm buying this house for 200K because I think it's worth $300,000. So it took all year long, but finally, the following January rolls around. He says, yo, this house is worth 300K. You want to make a deal? Now, you can make that deal with him if you want it or not, right? But mind you, when he comes and knocks, when he goes around your neighborhood and he's knocking on the door and he's like, yo, your house is worth $300,000. Do you want to sell it to me? Do you want to make a deal, right? You can make that deal and make 100 grand, but your neighbor John, he panicked sold for 150. John, although he lost $50,000 instead of making $100,000 because he sold, he was panicking, right? So here's a few different scenarios on how this could play out. All right, scenario one, you could panic like John did, right? You bought the house for $200,000 and you sell it for a loss. Mr. Market, so in the stock market, the price fluctuates. While the market is open, the price is fluctuating all the time, right? During market hours, it's going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down. Buying and selling, buying pressure and selling pressure is what's making it go up and down, right? There's more buying pressure than selling pressure, it goes up. There's more selling pressure than buying pressure, it goes down, right? What I mean by buying pressure and selling pressure is let's say I have $100,000 worth of stock in this company, but there's a guy out there, let's say me and all of you guys watching this, in total, we have $100,000 worth of stock in this company, right? And let's say there's 4,000 of us. In total, we have 100K. And now let's say there's somebody else out there, maybe he runs a mutual fund or something. He has $100 million, but it's only one person. He has $100 million. Although we have more buyers, he has more buying pressure. He has more money, right? So when he decides to sell or to buy, the price is going to fluctuate. So the stock market is just this auction that's going on all day long. It's an instant auction, right? So when there's more buying pressure than selling pressure, the stock goes up. When there's more selling pressure than buying pressure, the stock goes down. All right, cool. So scenario one, you buy the house for $200,000 and then you panic and you sell it for a loss. You're just like John. You don't want to be like John, right? Scenario two, you hold it. You buy the house for $200,000. You hold through the dip. So every day when Mr. Market was coming to your house, this is what happened. You bought in here. Mr. Market kept coming, kept coming, kept coming, kept coming, kept coming. And then eventually it went up the opposite way. It even took a little dip and it kept going. Now it's at 300K. You bought it here. Now it's at 300K. You can sell it there for plus 100,000 or you can hold it even longer. All right. So scenario two, you just hold throughout the dip. All right. Scenario number three, you buy the dip. So this is what that means. Remember John, scary ass John? John sold his house for $150,000, although he bought it for $200,000 because he was afraid that his money or the value of his house would keep going down, right? So let's say you bought John's house. So you spent $200K on your house, but the value of your house went down to $150K. The value of John's house went down to $150K too, and you said, I'll buy his too, right? Because you think, you know that it's worth $300K. All right, so scenario three, when you buy the dip, right? You bought yours for $200,000. You bought John's for $150,000. Now you have two houses worth $350,000. You paid for two houses, $350K. $150K for John's, $200K for yours. All right? All right, so on average, your average cost for each house is $175,000 now. Now, when Mr. Market comes back the next January, he goes, yo, your house is worth $300K now. And you're like, cool, I got two of them, but I bought one of them at $150, right? So you're like, all right, I'm gonna cut a deal with Mr. Market. You're actually going to sell, right? When you sell, you lock in those profits, right? The same way John locked in his losses, you can lock in your profit by selling for more than what you bought it for, right? So when you go to sell both of these houses for $200,000, now you sold for $600,000, two houses, $300,000 a piece, minus what you paid, $350,000, $200,000 for your house, $150,000 for John's house. So now you have a profit of $250,000, right? So you increase your profit because you bought another house at a cheaper price. So that's what buying the dip is, right? When something goes lower, you're buying the second house at this point, right? So here goes your three scenarios when things sell off. One, you could sell. You could panic sell, right? Oh man, I see my account is in the negative. I'm about to sell. My stocks are going down. I'm going to sell. Two, you can just hold it out. You say, all right, cool, it's down right now. It'll come up eventually. Or number three, you can start averaging down. You can buy into the dip. You can buy into the sell-off. All right, those are your three scenarios. Now, if you don't believe me, any stock that you own right now, let's say you own, I don't know, let's say you own Beyond Meat and it's $150. Go see what it was last year, right? $60, $70. Any stock that you own that you're down, go look at the chart last year, the year before last, the year before last, right? You'll realize that it goes up higher and higher and higher, right? Every year. So if the stock goes up and down and 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 up and down. Overall, it's going up, right? Overall, these assets are going up. Now, you bought here and you sell here. You took a loss, right? Or you could buy here and you sit through this dip, this dip, this dip, this dip, maybe you sell here. Buy here, sell here, that's a profit. All right, so what's happening is every day there's ups and downs, every month there's ups and downs, every year there's ups and downs, right? Now you can panic sell and take an L like scary ass John. You can wait it out, or you can buy the dip. You know what we're gonna do in the Wealth Squad, so choice is on you. Boom.